Howdy YouTube, this is Steven and I'm back with another news article analysis. And the title of this article that I'm going to read and give my thoughts and opinions about is m-flo's Taku Takahashi finally clears up his J-pop tweets. Alright, so it looks like we're going to get some dirt in this article. So I'm looking forward to reading this article. And this is pretty much like a more or less an interview with this fellow Taku Takahashi. So let's get started. All right, here we go. As some of you may know, I recently started. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. I got this article from aramajapan.com. So thanks a lot to Arama Japan. All right, here we go. As some of you may know, I recently started writing for the English language Japanese newspaper, the Japan Times. Through them, I was recently given the opportunity to interview m-flo's Taku Takahashi when he was in New York City for the Japanese pop culture festival Waka Waka plus New York. Well, Waka Waka plus NYC. It was exciting to be able to meet and interview someone who I've been a fan of for over a decade. m-flo was one of my starting off points when I entered the world of Japanese music. Taku's a cool guy. We sat down in his hotel room, and over the course of 2 hours, we discussed a variety of topics, including his J-pop tweets, his current thoughts on K-pop, and singers he thinks that are actually talented. Oh snap. That part of the interview can be seen on the Japan Times site. Okay, so it ain't gonna be in this article I got for y'all here now. My bad. Due to the space constrictions and my general loquaciousness, I ended up with a lot more content than I was able to include in my article for the Japan Times. Due to the graciousness of my editor, I'm now able to bring the outtakes from my Taku interview here. Okay. August 24th marked 10 years since the release of m-flo's album, quote unquote, Beat Space 9. And that's like a beat. It was your first #1 release. How has the industry changed since then? Okay, so we in the interview and they are asking, how has the industry changed from when you began versus now? All right, and this is how Taku responds. It's very different now. Before, it was based on how many CDs you sold. Good point. All right. Japan still sells more CDs than any other country, but we're declining. I think that Japan is probably the second biggest music market. I think the United States is the biggest music market, to keep it real. But Japan ain't nothing to sleep on, But let me just insert some facts. Next, a lot of people look at the numbers and are mistaken. They think we're selling a lot, but it's only one particular group that has a very unique fan base. I think you know who I'm talking about. AKB48, but they're a rare case. We're like the US, but we're adapting slower. Before, if the label had the money, there was advertisement on TV and in magazines. But now that people don't buy CDs, that's totally different. So basically, the budget has been cut for advertising because people don't buy CDs like they used to. People still buy CDs, but they're not buying them like they used to, like back in the day before, the rise of the MP3 and, Napster and whatnot, and these websites and things like that. Like, yeah, the music industry, like in Japan specifically, like people were doing million selling singles probably like every month. You probably had like a million selling single. Now it's like, on a special occasion, you'll get a million selling single, as well as the albums too. The albums were selling like like millions of copies, you know. At least if you were like super popular, you could sell like millions of copies of your album, you know. And in the United States, it's changed because like in the United States, we have a um, like you know how you have like okay, your CD went gold, your CD went platinum, your CD went multi-platinum. Well, we have a status called diamond, and to go diamond in the United States, you have to ship at least 10 million copies of your CD within the United States music market. You know, a lot of artists do have diamonds or have gone diamond, but you don't hear about that lately. You know, and I would like to hear about that, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Okay, on to the next. Let's see. The Japanese music market is conservative. It has always been so, but things are getting more liberal now. They're getting ready for something new. For the past 10 years, few people have been trying to bring out something different. Okay. Let's see. All right. Next question. m-flo was one of the main urban acts last decade. One of them. What do you think of that scene today? Good question. There was hip hop slash R&B movement, or there was a hip hop slash R&B movement around 1997 slash 1998 with Sandpin Camp and LB Nation. I always say that's the beginning of the end of the first Japanese hip hop boom. It got big and things started to go downhill from there. Major labels tried capitalizing on it but didn't succeed, so it went underground again. But now we're having a renaissance with rappers like Aklo, Cole, and Pun P. I think that's how you say their names. I don't know about R&B though. Okay, so now just getting his opinion about the music scene. Ain't nothing, scandalous and juicy there. Let's see, next. Could you see m-flo going back to their old urban sound? Possibly. And next question. That's all he said. Just possible. All right. So, next question. You've worked with a variety of acts. Who was your favorite? I have a few. Maki Nomiya, since I'm a big Pizzicato 5 fan. Let's see, next person. Chara, Kato Milia, Crystal K. I could go on. Okay, so those are his favorites, apparently, and those are the people he named. All right. Next, what was it like working with Ayumi Hamasaki? Never met her. Okay. I mean, I've met her, but not during the song making process. I sent her the demo. She sang, "We Got It Back," and we did the mix. This was for her song "Merry Go Round" and her song with m-flo, "My Way." The same day "Merry Go Round" came out. Well, scratch that. That's the next question. So let me go in on this for a second. Okay, he ain't never worked with Ayumi or never met her. At least, particularly when they were making the song "Merry-Go-Round" and the song "My Way." All right, that is interesting. And I guess that's probably why he didn't name her as one of his favorites, his favorite people to work with, because he never met her, at least during the songwriting process or the song process. So he technically didn't really work with her. And plus, that's kind of like a loaded question anyway. Who's your favorite? Because they've done so many people, work with so many musical acts that, you have different things that you like about them and different things that you like about other people, and it's like, okay, I can't name every single one because people wouldn't like that answer. Like, oh, I like every single one, every single one. Right? It's like that doesn't really give me any information I could use, you know. But on to the next. The same day Merry Go Round came out, you had another production come out. Hey Stay Jumps, Ride With Me. What was it like working with them? Yeah, that got to #1 with Johnny's. You don't get to work with them because they're always busy. We sent them like 5 demos until they said okay. I had to please their management. Pause. And since it was a theme song for the TV movie, this is a long title. Okay, the title of this movie is Kin Dai Shi Shoin no Jin Kimbo Gokumon Juku Satsunjin Jikin. You know, say that 10 times fast. I had to please the TV producer too. Pause again. But since they were working with me, they expected something different from what the group normally does. It was a challenge. So he had to just go around pleasing, all these high up music and TV executives, just go around pleasing them. And that's what the industry does to you. It just, or at least it does to some people, just, pimps them out, All right. Next question. If you could work with anyone, who would it be? And Taku responds, Utada Hikaru. We asked her like 5 times and she said no every time. Okay, so it sounds like Utada has a good head on her shoulders, she is in her right state of mind. She is not hungry for fame, it sounds like Utada knows not to, she knows what and what not to do, it seems like. All right. So next, we asked her for all of our quote unquote love albums. I think we'll keep on bugging her though. Okay, Utada, this is a message to Utada. You might, be wary of Taku. Be wary. He might get a little stalkerish or something. So you might need to be, just strap yourself a little bit. Carry at least some pepper spray or something, like stun gun, some pepper spray. If it get too serious, and you might want to upgrade to like a firearm or something. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool that Utada did not work with, m-flo. And I guess I don't really see the reason why she would work with them. I mean, she does have like an R&B sound with her music, or at least used to. So that might have been kind of like, okay, the predecessor, like, okay, since it's R&B, they can kind of go R&B, even though they're more like a hip hop urban thing. But they could kind of work with that. But she didn't do that because that's not where she wants to take her sound. And as well, that's just not the look that she wants, Other artists who I will name that have worked with them, at least 2. I'll go with Ayumi Hamasaki first. Ayumi, she wants to go into that urban music market, and she, Ayumi at this point, she's a little bit of a desperata, a little desperate to, get back to where she was before. So this might be advantageous for her to do so. And also, Namie has worked with m-flo before, and I believe they may have first, worked together on the Sweet Chic album. And that was important for Namie because she was trying to transition her musical career from one sound to another. And since they were more familiar with that sound than she was, or at least more known for that sound than she was, it was good for them, or good for Namie, to have them to help guide her and to help her transition into being like an R&B hip hop type of singer instead of more of the style she had before she made her transition. Okay, next. How is Lisa, m-flo's former vocalist, doing? She's fine. She's living near my house. I talk to her once a month. We talk about making some new music like almost a year ago, but it didn't happen. I think it will happen soon, though. Okay, next. Okay, I don't really know who Lisa is, so that was just like, that kind of went over my head. But if you m-flo fans know who Lisa is, like, there you have it. That was for you. Next. You do soundtracks. How's that going? Next week I'm finishing one for the movie No Bunga or No Bunaga Concerto. I'm also working on one for a Square Enix game that I can't reveal the name of. Making soundtracks is my dream job. Okay, so it sounds like Taku got his hustle outside of like the traditional music industry. So that's good that you got another source of income coming in. Next, how does it feel performing in the USA? Wonderful. I was overthinking it at first, but then I realized that I'm just playing in front of other human beings. I'm not as nervous as before, but I'm a bit nervous still. I'm always a bit nervous before I perform. Do you think speaking English has helped you? Yes, that's how this interview is happening. I can connect with foreign fans and artists by speaking English. I can see outside. I can see the outside world. I wish our stupid politicians would do that so that they can see how offensive the things they say are to the rest of the world. Okay, so I actually kind of agree with him right there. I think that Japan should. Well, he probably didn't say Japan. He said politicians, but I'm going to just assume that he also would apply this to people in Japan who are somewhat closed-minded about the outside world. And I think that I'm going to phrase this right so I don't come off offensive or come off like the American, quote unquote. But I think that it's good to have like an international view. It's good to be able to look at other people and other people from other countries and want to learn more about them and want to be interested in them. And as well, I think what he said, like politicians saying stupid things, this probably wouldn't happen so much if you had more of an outside view of the world, you know. But on the other hand, I can understand why they wouldn't have an outside view of the world because I guess for them, they're the only people in the world who speak Japanese. Is pretty much Japan, you know. I mean, you got some people in like Brazil and Peru who speak Japanese and whatnot, as well as the United States and probably some other places. But pretty much Japan is the only place. So for them, or for people who may not be able to learn English as well as other people, it's like, okay, let's just stick to Japan, just stick with what we know. All right, next question. Why did m-flo stop releasing singles? I didn't know that. I thought in the Japanese market, singles were kind of almost mandatory, but I'm guessing maybe the physical single versus the digital single now, because people can download songs now, you know. So I do wonder about how that affects the physical single sales of singles when people can download a song that they want off the internet, legally, See? And Taku responds, singles don't sell, or because singles don't sell. It's not only our decision, it's the label's decision too. And, again, money. They probably feel like they're wasting money by releasing these physical singles, Right. Next, speaking of your label, what is going on with Avex right now? There have been some complaints about how they're throwing everything at the wall recently to see what sticks. Okay, so I'm guessing AVEX is just doing whatever they, just doing anything and seeing what can work, you know. Right, next, well, AVEX is the biggest label, and they're the one most up for a challenge. I've seen other labels, and they're more conservative. AVEX is much more willing to do something new. That's something I like about AVEX. Some things work, some don't, but if you don't try, nothing happens. That's a good point. And I guess AVEX can kind of do this because they're an independent label, but they have the resources to do this. And AVEX is probably one of the most popular labels in Japan, and they have been responsible for producing some of the most major acts and the most influential acts in Japanese music history, you know. So in order for them to continue to be on the cutting edge of the music industry, they have to do these things, you know. And they probably look a little weird, but they have to kind of do this in order to continue to maintain their position in the Japanese music industry. All right. Next, you recently did a promo video for AVEX streaming service AWA. What do you think of streaming? It's like Japan is skipping a step. The US was ready for streaming because a very large catalog could be found on iTunes. The same can't be said for Japan. A lot of big acts aren't on iTunes Japan. The catalog is the important thing with streaming, and the same thing is happening. AWA doesn't have a lot of the newest stuff. They should have some exclusive things, though, since they're owned by AVEX, like Netflix does. Okay. So I'm guessing he's saying AVEX should take a cue from Netflix and do some more exclusive content. I didn't know that AVEX had their own streaming service. Alright. I guess they need to work on their advertising too. Alright. Last question. Any parting words? I wish Japan music journalists ask the questions you do, because Japanese journalism sucks. You ask the taboo question when you asked about J-pop. A Japanese journalist didn't have the guts to do that, but it's great to ask these questions so that the artist can explain more. Okay, so that's the last of this, and I was reading this article, and this is pretty much my first time reading this article, and yeah, I didn't really see anything in this particular article relating to the J-pop tweet. So I kind of wasted my time doing this article to an extent. But it was still some interesting information, you know, in this article. So yeah, so my bad. I'm going to try and find the J-pop tweet stuff and see if I could, you know, if that's anything worth talking about. And as well, I want to see, you know, the lowdown on the singers that he think actually have talent, because, you know, I need to know about that. And we do too. You know, we need to know about that. All right. So that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed this. If not, then I apologize for wasting your time. Feel free to comment. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to give me a thumbs up. Your feedback and support are extremely appreciated and extremely valued. Until the next news article analysis, adios and goodbye for now.